I want you to take a second and just picture something for me.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Think back to that specific feeling of flipping through an old school yearbook
Hmm.
or maybe a literary magazine from your school days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You probably remember that exact sensory experience, right? You crack open the cover, you get that smell of the fresh, glossy ink.
That very specific print smell, yeah.
Exactly. And you immediately start scanning the pages. You're looking to see if your name made it in there or scanning for your friends' names.
Looking at the slightly awkward club photos.
Right. The photos of the debate team, the slightly angsty poetry, those passionate essays about the environment. It's this incredible, tangible time capsule.
It really is.
But today, we aren't just reminiscing about that nostalgic feeling. We're actually looking at the anatomy of how those creative time capsules are built from the ground up.
Because it is remarkably easy to just look at a finished publication, admire the glossy cover, and completely take it for granted. The journey of getting from a stack of blank pages to a bound, meaningful document, it's incredibly intricate. It requires a level of coordination that most people just never see.
And to guide us through that hidden complexity today, we have a really fantastic source. We are diving into a comprehensive guide written by Mohammed Farouk Rashid.
Right.
He is an Urdu teacher and an AI advocate at BMS, an educational institution, and he wrote this deeply detailed piece titled Preparation of School Magazine, The Complete Journey of Content, Layout, and Design.
And our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack that step-by-step evolution. Because while the context Rashid is writing about is specifically a school magazine, the framework he outlines extends way beyond the classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
It's actually this masterclass in project management. It covers cross-functional team dynamics, rigorous curation, and how to navigate the modern balance between human creativity and tech tools.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the very first phase is what lays the groundwork for everything else. Before you have a magazine, before you have a single word written, you need a blueprint.
You need the architects.
Exactly. You need the right people in the room to draft that blueprint. Rashid talks about forming an editorial committee. And I imagine this isn't just, a random assortment of volunteers drawn out of a hat.
Far from it. The text specifies that this committee needs to be a highly strategic mix of individuals.
So not just whoever has free time on Tuesdays.
Right. No. You naturally have the administration or teachers providing oversight, but you absolutely must have student representatives at the table.
That makes sense.
And crucially, Rashid notes the importance of including individuals who have specific technical skills, like graphic design or computer expertise, right from the very start of the project.
See, that cross-functional approach makes a lot of sense to me. You wouldn't try to build a custom house without the architect, the plumber, and the electrician all looking at the blueprints together on day one.
Exactly.
Because if you only put writers in the room, the final magazine might read beautifully, but it's going to look like a dense, uninviting phone book.
A wall of text.
Yeah. And if you only have designers, it might look visually stunning, but completely lack substance.
That holistic view is essential. And the very first job this multifaceted team has to tackle is establishing a central theme.
The theme.
Yeah. The text gives several strong examples of what these could be. Things like education, ethics, science, the environment, or national integration.
I'll be honest, my instinct is that a theme is mostly just a marketing gimmick. Like a catchy title to put on the cover just to make it look cohesive.
I get that, but the author treats it as much more than a title. Setting that theme is arguably the most important decision the committee will make.
Really?
Because it acts as a compass. That theme anchors the entire academic year's intellectual and practical efforts into one single cohesive vision.
So it filters everything else.
Exactly. Every time a student sits down to write an essay or a teacher considers approving a submission, they have that theme to guide them. It ensures the final product feels unified and purposeful, rather than just a random, chaotic collection of papers stapled together at the last minute.
It gives everyone a shared destination. And once you have that compass, you have to actually start the journey and gather the materials. I love the specific language Rashid uses in the text here.
The soul part.
Yes, he explicitly calls the gathered content the soul or the life of the magazine.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, without that carefully gathered content, all you have is a cleverly designed empty shell. The soul of the publication is what gives it lasting value.
Right. And to get a truly vibrant soul, the text suggests you need a massive diversity of content, Rashid lists this incredible mix of required elements.
It's a long list.
It really is. You want editorials setting the tone, deep dive essays, fictional stories, poems. You need interviews with interesting figures, informative pieces, shout outs to specific student achievement.
Reports on school activities.
Photo highlights. He even mentions the inclusion of short essays on national days, historical figures, or specific scientific topics. It seems like the goal is capturing a 360-degree view of what the students are thinking and doing.
While the source material emphasizes the need for a wide variety of submissions, it also insists that a strict standard has to be maintained.
Okay.
The material must remain polite, it must be relevant to the established theme, and it must be strictly aligned with educational values.
So it's not a free-for-all internet message board where anything goes.
Not at all. It is a highly intentional, curated reflection of the school's ethos. The goal isn't just to collect enough papers to hit some arbitrary page count.
Right.
It is about capturing the authentic, respectful voice of the institution and its students.
Which brings us directly into the second phase, which I like to call the crucible of curation.
The red pen phase.
The text refers to this as editorial review and editing. I have to imagine this is where the romantic, cinematic idea of running a magazine hits the hard, sometimes tedious reality of that red pen.
The source is very clear about the heavy lifting required here. The editorial team is tasked with reading through every single submission.
Wow.
They are looking for linguistic errors, correcting spelling, fixing grammar, but the process goes far beyond basic proofreading.
What else are they doing?
The editors are cutting down unnecessary length to keep the pacing brisk, and they are actively filtering out any inappropriate content that strays from those educational values we just discussed.
You know, anyone who has ever managed a group project or worked in a corporate environment will appreciate a very specific, fascinating detail Rashid brings up regarding this editing phase.
The duplicate submission.
Yes.
Okay.
He points out the very real scenario of what happens when multiple students submit essays on the exact same topic.
It happens all the time.
Right. If the theme is the environment, you are inevitably going to get 20 different essays about the importance of recycling.
And they all say basically the same thing.
Exactly. And if I get 20 essays on recycling, my instinct as an editor is just to pick the single best one, publish it, and send rejection letters to the other 19. Does Rashid recommend something different?
He does. The author provides a very pragmatic, alternative solution that requires a bit more finesse.
Okay.
The committee is forced to make a tough call. They can certainly select the single best piece out of the bunch, but they also have the option to expertly summarize and combine the best ideas from those multiple essays into one highly cohesive masterpiece.
Wow. That sounds incredibly difficult. Blending different writing styles and different viewpoints into one article without making it sound like a Frankenstein monster.
It's a huge editorial challenge.
But more than that, it is a masterclass in separating your ego from your work. That is a skill most adults in the professional world still struggle with.
It really is. And this specific challenge teaches students and the editors themselves a vital lesson in clarity and overarching purpose.
Dropping the ego for the good of the project.
Precisely. The primary goal is ensuring the final product is genuinely interesting, clear, and meaningful for the reader. The process prioritizes the quality of the overall magazine over the ego of any individual contributor.
That makes sense.
If combining 3 good essays makes one truly great, comprehensive article, then that is the path that serves the reader best, even if it means individual authors have to share the byline.
So the committee has gathered the soul, the content has been mercilessly edited, it's lean, it's meaningful, and the egos have been checked at the door.
Now they need the structure.
Right. Now they need to give all of these ideas a physical form. Here's where it gets really interesting, because we are transitioning into phase 3, the design and layout, the aesthetic balance.
This phase is exactly why the text recommended including individuals with technical expertise during the initial committee formation. The aesthetic presentation dictates how the reader interacts with the text.
So once the text is locked in, what is the actual toolkit being used here? Are we talking about basic word processors, or does Rashid expect these teams to use full-blown professional software to build this thing?
He actually provides a broad spectrum of tools, making the process accessible regardless of a school's budget.
That's smart.
He mentions everyday word processors like MS Word, which most people already have. He includes template-driven, user-friendly tools like Canva.
Sure, Canva's huge right now.
And he also lists professional, industry-grade page layout software like CorelDRAW and Adobe InDesign.
Oh, wow, so the real deal.
Yeah. It highlights that an editorial team can create something beautiful, whether they are using accessible, everyday software or the exact same publishing suites used by major global magazines.
Regardless of the software they choose, the reader's journey always starts at the same place, the cover.
The most important page.
The text has very specific rules for the cover page. I assume it's more than just finding a nice stock photo and slapping it on the front.
You literally are judged by your cover, so the text leaves nothing to chance. The cover must explicitly feature the school name, the official logo, and the publication year.
Gotta have the basics.
Right. But most importantly, it requires what Rashid calls a meaningful image.
A meaningful image.
This isn't just decoration. It must be an image that instantly grabs the reader's attention and effectively communicates the essence of the theme contained inside.
So it sets the expectation immediately.
Exactly.
Once a reader is intrigued by that meaningful image and opens the magazine, they are met with the inner architecture. The guiding principle for the internal pages, according to the source, is maintaining a balance of beauty and simplicity.
I love that phrasing.
Me too. It suggests you need to show restraint. You don't want 10 different crazy fonts, neon colors, and distracting graphics fighting for attention on every single page.
Restraint is the key to professional design. The text details specific requirements to achieve that delicate balance. The layout needs clear, hierarchical titles.
So people know what they are looking at.
Right. It requires appropriate fonts that are easy on the eyes for long reading sessions. And it demands balanced paragraphs that don't overwhelm the reader with massive, intimidating walls of text.
That makes reading feel like a chore.
Exactly. The entire goal is to make the reading experience as frictionless and inviting as possible.
And a huge part of making that experience inviting involves visuals. But there's a crucial detail from the text about how to handle those images.
The captions.
Yes. An amateur designer might just drop a photo of the school play onto a page to break up the text and leave it at that. But the text firmly states that all images and graphics must have short captions.
Omitting captions is a remarkably common mistake, but it severely diminishes the impact of the publication.
Because you don't know what you're looking at.
Captions provide necessary background context. Without a caption, a photo of 3 students holding a trophy is just a nice generic picture.
Right.
But with a caption explaining that those specific students just won the regional science fair with a groundbreaking project on renewable energy, the reader suddenly understands the visual's true importance.
Context transforms a simple picture into a compelling story.
It absolutely does.
That context adds narrative weight. And speaking of adding weight, the text mentions how certain structural additions can elevate the entire perception of the publication. Rashid suggests including messages from important figures or an introductory note from the head of the institution.
The text explicitly notes that these specific additions add a layer of prestige to the final product.
Prestige?
Including a message from the principal or a respected community leader signals to the reader and to the student contributors that this magazine is not just a casual side project.
It's official.
It proves the endeavor has the official backing, attention, and respect of the school's leadership.
So the design is locked in. The pages balance beauty and simplicity, the photos are contextualized with captions, and the leadership has added their prestige. We move to phase 4.
The polish.
The polish. This is where the workflow gets incredibly modern, but still demands old-school diligence. First, the text discusses the final proofreading stage.
We cannot overstate how critical the source considers this final, meticulous review.
Rashid gives a very stern warning to any editorial committee that tries to rush this step. He points out that even the tiniest errors, a single misspelled word, a misplaced comma, a wrong page number in the table of contents, or a slight formatting glitch in a heading can completely ruin the overall quality and the professional vibe of the magazine.
It shatters the illusion of authority.
It really does.
The moment a reader catches a glaring typo, their subconscious trust in the entire publication drops. The meticulous care put into the theme and the design is instantly undermined.
All that hard work just gone because of a typo.
That is why the text strongly recommends having multiple people proofread the document. The original editor or the writer often becomes completely blind to their own typos after staring at the same screen for hours.
Oh, I've been there. You just stop seeing the words.
A fresh set of eyes is mandatory to catch those invisible errors.
You definitely need that human review to catch the nuances. But this is where the text introduces a really fascinating modern twist to a very traditional process. Remember how we mentioned at the start that the author, Mohammed Farouk Rashid, is an AI advocate?
His dual role as a traditional Urdu teacher and a modern AI advocate provides a highly unique perspective on how to handle this workflow.
He brings artificial intelligence right into the middle of the preparation phase. According to the text, AI tools can be incredibly helpful for a stretched editorial committee.
As a tool, yes.
They can assist with initial text correction, acting as an automated first line of defense against those trust-shattering typos. They can help organize complex ideas or messy outlines submitted by students.
Which saves a lot of time.
AI can even generate different design templates to give the layout team a solid starting point if they are facing a creative block.
What's fascinating here is how carefully the author threads the needle between embracing modern technology and fiercely protecting the core educational mission.
It's a fine line to walk.
Very fine. He advocates for AI, but he includes a very strict, uncompromising caveat. The text emphasizes unequivocally that AI is only an assistant.
It's the helper, not the creator.
The true creative capability belongs entirely to the human students. The source explicitly states that the original writing and the original ideas of the students must be prioritized over anything generated by an algorithm.
So no auto-generating essays just to fill space.
Exactly. The technology is permitted only to support the student's vision. It can format a paragraph or catch a spelling mistake, but it must never replace their unique voice or manufacture the soul of the magazine we discussed earlier.
That is such an important distinction, especially as these tools become more prevalent. It is about using the software to amplify the human effort, not to bypass the effort altogether.
Right.
Because if you bypass the struggle of writing and editing, you completely lose the educational point of doing the project in the first place.
Which leads us nicely to the final phase, the actual publication and getting this carefully protected human effort into people's hands.
The final stretch. All the editing, the designing, the rigorous proofreading, and the AI-assisted tweaking are finally done. The text outlines two main paths for distribution.
Print and digital.
Right. The traditional route is high-quality physical printing. This involves taking the digital file to a press and getting those beautiful, glossy, tangible pages we reminisced about at the beginning.
The artifact.
Yes, but the text also acknowledges the realities of the digital age, noting that digital PDF versions should be created and shared via the school website or through social media channels.
Utilizing both methods is incredibly smart because it balances tangibility with reach. A physical copy is a wonderful artifact, but it might only go home in a student's backpack.
Which limits who sees it.
Exactly. A digital link, however, can be instantly shared with grandparents across the country or alumni living around the world.
It makes the hard work accessible to a global audience. We have walked through the entire journey, from forming the initial cross-functional committee to surviving the crucible of curation, balancing the design, and handing out the final PDFs.
It's quite a process.
So what does this all mean? Why go through all this trouble, all the arguing over essays and fonts month after month just to put this together?
Right.
Rashid offers a really profound conclusion in the text. He states that a school magazine is not merely a formal publication. It isn't just a box to check off for the administration's annual report.
The text elevates the concept entirely. It describes the magazine as a literal document of an educational and creative journey.
A physical manifestation of a year's worth of thinking, stumbling, and growing.
There is a deeply psychological impact that the text elaborates on in its conclusion. When students actually see their own ideas, the fragile thoughts they initially formed in their heads, transformed into published words and professionally laid out pages, it creates a powerful internal shift.
It makes it real for them.
The source notes that this experience actively builds their confidence, it solidifies their creative thinking skills, and it permanently strengthens their passion for learning.
They see undeniable printed proof that their voice matters. They realize they have the capability to create something tangible and lasting.
The text defines this psychological transformation, this tangible building of confidence and passion, as the true success of any educational institution.
That's powerful.
The magazine itself becomes a memorial document, something that will be looked back on for decades to come. But the real lasting product is the growth of the students who survived the process of making it.
The journey fundamentally changes the people taking it. As we wrap up this deep dive into the anatomy of a publication and think about all the meticulous curation and editing we've discussed, it brings up a really compelling thought about how we interact with information today.
This raises an important question. We just spent this entire time dissecting a rigorous month-long process where a dedicated committee filters, polishes, and combines information to ensure only the most meaningful, high-quality thoughts make it onto the page.
Right.
But outside of that controlled environment, we live in an era of infinite, unedited scrolling.
We are constantly bombarded with raw, unfiltered noise.
So the question for you to ponder is this. If the ultimate success of this entire grueling publication process is the profound psychological shift that happens when someone carefully curates their thoughts, what are we losing in a modern world where our daily thoughts are instantly blasted out as ephemeral, unedited text messages and disappearing social media stories?
That's a great point.
Are we sacrificing the very process that actually builds our creative confidence simply because we no longer have to wait for the ink to dry?
That is a phenomenal thought to leave on. Are we treating our own minds like an unedited submissions folder, or are we acting as the rigorous editorial committee of our own lives? I want to thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Whether you are putting together a magazine, leading a complex project at work, or just trying to understand how the media you consume is actually made, I hope this gave you a new framework to think about the process. Keep asking questions, keep curating your own journey, and keep seeking out those new perspectives.